Man, Jeff, I had like the best night last night. I hung out with Shaquille O'Neal at Dave and Buster's.
Brian, are you sure that it was Shaq? Not actually some elder lady Asgardian shapeshifter pretending to be Shaquille O'Neal?
Yeah, 3 reasons. 1, Craigslist ad said Shaq. 2, he was wearing a Phoenix Coyotes jersey. 3, I picked up the tab.
Welcome into the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and watching TV and movies. I'm your host, the Mayor Jeff Hornacek, and this is our review of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Episode 3, titled The People vs. Emil Blonsky. We thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we dive into the 4 Bro 4 Squad criteria that we review every TV episode on, which is the acting, the story, our favorite scene, and theories and questions, we will begin by tossing it over to Brian Banner, the mad scientist. Brian, I'll let you lead it off. Acting and cast. Really no new characters here, at least that we haven't seen before in something else. But now we kind of have a little bit of a better idea what the show's trying to do with the characters, I guess. So what did you think of the performances and acting in Episode 3 of She-Hulk?
I'm going to take low-hanging fruit here. Tim Roth is having a fucking blast with this. You can tell he is just enjoying every moment of this, like, zen guy. Like, look, I got nothing wrong to do. Just nice and calm over here. But I can freak out whenever I want, but I won't. Like, he's just having a blast.
It's good to see him back. I'm just going to preface this off the top. I really did not like this episode, and I really don't like what this show is doing. And a lot of that will get into story, but the performances we got here, outside of Tatiana Maslany, I thought comedically everything fell flat on its face, and it feels like it is, you know, those movies like Disaster Movie and like Date Movie that came out and like parodied films, like Scary Movie, basically. This feels like MCU movie. Like, this show does not know how to hit its comedic beats without making fun of the MCU. Case in point, when she's like, it's not going to be like a cameo of the week situation. And then Benedict Wong, I don't know what character he's playing in this. That's not fucking Wong from anything else we've seen. He has a LinkedIn now. Like, we're just going to make a total joke of everything we've ever seen. And then somehow I'm supposed to believe he's the same guy in Multiverse of Madness. Tatiana Maslany's character, I think she comedically works. I laugh at some of the stuff she says outside of the end credit scene, which I kind of don't want to talk about, but we have to.
Everyone else, it was so stupid. I laughed. I have to admit it. It was so dumb. I laughed.
Everyone else, I'm glad Tim Roth came back, but like, and I understand he's a reformed person and might be putting on a facade, but who the fuck is this character? That's not Emil Blonsky, or even a reformed version of him.
And we'll get into this, I think, more in story and plot and maybe even impact and theories, but yeah, I mean, I think with what they're given, Tim Roth is having a blast. He's having fun, but he's also in on the joke, if you will. Him personally, like, look, they don't know what they're doing, so I'm going to pretend like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to enjoy every fucking minute of this.
Yeah. Now, actually, the one comedic performance that worked, because you can have 1 or 2 of these characters, you just can't have 15 of them, because then it's like South Park, was Drew Matthews playing Dennis Bukowski, the guy who actually was
so great. And him and the guy that played Pug, I can't remember his name, but they played off each other
Josh Segarra, yeah.
Yeah, they played off each other so well. Like, you could tell these guys, like, after shooting, they're like, all right, so are we going to this bar or that bar tonight?
Yeah, 100%. So his character worked, but again, you can't have 7 characters like that and basically repurpose characters that we've already seen in the MCU for this show. I will say that I'll get to save that for story and plot. What I was about to say. Do you have anything else on acting?
I don't. It was like you said, not a whole lot going on, and everybody was kind of playing the same role.
Do you like Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters? She's working well for me, but the world they're putting her in is not.
It's really hard to answer that question because I think I am, but then she breaks the fourth wall, and I'm like, I'm done. This doesn't fucking work.
No, it doesn't.
But
it really
but that's nothing to do with her. She's just doing what she's supposed to do, and so it's hard to judge. Yeah, I'm enjoying her, except for when she does this, because then that means I'm not enjoying her. It's kind of a double-edged sword loaded question.
All right, the story and plot. The synopsis, according to IMDb, says She-Hulk represents the Abomination, aka Emil Blonsky, but his parole hearing doesn't go as planned. And we really have two plots here. We have the A plot with Blonsky and his parole hearing, and Jen trying to get Wong to justify or at least explain why he had his prison break, and then the Bukowski B plot where he's going up against the shape-shifting Asgardian, which I'm not really sure where that will tie into the rest of the story, or if they just thought it would be really hilarious to do. So, what did you think of the story and plot in episode 3?
It was fine. I think there were things that I liked out of it, but how, and I think the episode as a whole was strung together pretty well. But it doesn't match the other episodes, and I still don't know what this show really is. Like, are we gonna? We'll get into that in questions and theories, but I hate breaking the fourth wall, and I think that is a big detriment to the story. Is that we're riding this nice wave, we've got a nice cohesive thing going on, and then all of a sudden, let's stop, and she's just gonna like talk to me like we're friends. I don't fucking know you.
Yeah, and make the joke about cameo of the week, basically making fun of Marvel.
Yeah. Well, and then connecting plot A and plot B. Nice. Like
fuck.
You don't have to tell me.
I forgot about that line. Yeah.
You don't have to tell me that.
It just isn't working. And I think this show in general would have been really cool as like a procedural law show, like The People versus O.J. Simpson. Like how sick would that have been to watch them seriously take on Emil Blonsky's parole hearing? With Walters.
What this needed to do, this needed to be in the Daredevil Defenders realm, not in the Hawkeye and like the Hawkeye realm, if you will. We got two kind of sets of TV shows here. You have Hawkeye and Loki and WandaVision, and then you have Daredevil, Defenders, Jessica Jones, all of those. More darker, more serious. This needs to be in that more darker, more serious realm than an MC movie realm.
Yeah, and I think Phase 4, to varying degrees of success, tip your cap to Marvel for trying to dip their toe into a vast array of different genres. But you're not going to have 100% success rate. And to me, so far, like tonally, this thing has been a massive bomb. Now, I like some of the characters and some of the elements, but it's not working for me, man. And I like a good comedy, but it's a Scary Movie 4 version of a show taking place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because the funny stuff, quote unquote, is not even funny.
Like some of them deserve a giggle, but that's about it. And I've been saying that since episode 1. And I know that we were, all of us, we were making a little bit of excuses why I may feel that way or why this is that. But I had this gut feeling, and so far, it's kind of holding true to that, to what I felt coming out of the first episode.
If you look at jokes, which I think is a good way to evaluate comedies, like look at it like a batting average, right? Like how many attempts are there at a laugh versus how many did you get? And in this case, I would say it's not a good batting average. Now, there's some movies where no, they don't take many stabs at humor, but the few they have work.
And that's where Marvel in the past has been extremely good at. They've been very selective on their jokes and made sure that they all hit, especially early on in the MCU.
But like Emil Blonsky's parole hearing, let's just take the A plot, for example. It turns into 7 women in a cult standing in a waiting room, like obsessing over him. And then it turns into Wong being late to the proceedings. And I really appreciated Abomination being in Shang-Chi. This explanation feels like some dude had to cover his ass, like at a pitch meeting after the fact. Like, okay, well, now that we want to use Abomination and She-Hulk, like, why was he at that fighting tournament? And he's like, Wong needed someone to fight. It's like, dude, really? That's the explanation we get?
We'll get into that in questions and theories.
So, again, I hate to pile on this show, but I've been the one really loving it the first 2 episodes. This one, to me, it felt like it has established what it wants to be tonally, and it's not working. Now, having said that, I really enjoy Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk, but like you said, the positions they're putting her character in, specifically for her performance, it's not fun to watch right now.
Yeah.
So, all right, ready for best scene?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm actually going to take one that was an homage to one of our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes we got from, I believe, season 2, and that's the end scene where she fights the Wrecking Crew, which is a group that I love in the comics. If you don't know who the Wrecking Crew is, it was those guys at the end that are using weapons acquired from Asgard. I'm assuming new Asgard in this.
I would assume so, yes.
Yeah, but I believe the way Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. set it up, which I guess we're to assume is now not canon, was at the end of Thor the Dark World, there was like weaponry left behind from when Malekith like opened up the Nine Realms and came to fight. But this was a cool scene, and then we'll get into this in theories and questions, but like what were they after Jen for, trying to take her blood? Who were they working for? But this was, to me, not that we need a bunch every episode, but it was the one kind of action set piece that we got. And they're a fun group because they're like, it's kind of like the group in Spider-Man Homecoming that like steals the Stark tech, like with the Vulture. But they're really like not that capable of villains, but they have like these weapons that are they're really not able to control.
They're literally just thugs.
Yeah, they're kind of like bumbling idiots with
Yeah.
like corked bats, like going up to the plate. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Let's just swing as hard as we can.
Yeah, something's gonna happen.
Yeah. What was your favorite scene?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really have a favorite scene. I thought that the episode, each scene strung together pretty well, tying this scene to that scene and kind of working through everything. Not one really stood out like, wow, that was a really good scene. Now, one that I laughed and I thought was enjoyable was when Pug was basically interviewing or interrogating Dennis about why he wanted to sue his ex-shapeshifter girlfriend.
And like how much money
how much money it was, and then just that whole interaction. He's like, "What the like? How am I going to defend this guy? This is absurd." Mm-hmm. And so that I enjoyed that kind of storyline. Which, if I enjoyed the B storyline better than the A storyline, we have a problem.
And I guess like I'm not gonna. It's we're kind of in the thick of it, so I'm not gonna judge the series based on this now. But like Bukowski, based on screen time allotted to him and just sure like narrative bandwidth, like how much of the actual story they've given to him. I mean, his character, something has to happen with him, right? He can't just be like the bumbling guy who Jen used to work with, who we make fun of on and off for like 9 episodes. But I have no idea where that's going. Like everything that he's been involved with in the plot has seemed just for a gag.
The only thing I can think of is maybe, and I just thought of this, kind of throwing something out there. Could there be a situation, episode 6, 7, maybe even 5, where he is put in a situation that Jen has to go and save him, and she's kind of at that moral dilemma, like, I hate this guy. But I'm like, that's almost her moment of saying, yes, I am a superhero, because still, even to now, she is kind of denying that fact.
Right. I mean, that could work. I do think though that Bukowski, like, she doesn't even have like vitriol towards him. She's just like, yeah, the guy was kind of annoying. Like she testified. Now she got something out of it by calling him a naive idiot, but she did it knowing it would help his case. So
yeah,
it's not even like he's like a straight up villain to her. She's just like, I would prefer not to like get drinks with him. So
he's like a friend of a friend that's always there, and you're like, I really don't like him, but I have to tolerate him.
Oh God, yes, a person just popped into my head when you said that. But she's like, yeah, I'm going. Is so and so going? And they're like, yeah. She's like, fuck. All right, I'll still go, but
only because I want to see you, though.
Not a big Dennis fan. Yeah. All right, theories and questions. Fan favorite part of the show. You want to just go back and forth? We can play a little here.
Yeah, let's just ping pong it back and forth.
Why don't you start?
Okay. So, who's the baddie in this show?
I think they're unseen, and this is one of my theories. And I think they're working with both Blonsky, or they will be, and behind the Wrecking Crew. And I have 2 predictions right now. Allegra de Fontaine, because I'm 95% sure that next weekend at D23 they're going to announce Tim Roth coming back as Abomination for the Thunderbolts movie. Especially now that Hulk has been sent off-world. So Allegra de Fontaine could be basically like pulling the strings here, trying to get Blonsky freed, and she could be behind the whole superhero division at Jen's new law firm. And then possibly her or Kingpin sent the wrecking crew after Jen. We know Daredevil shows up in this. So do they have a mutual enemy? And also timeline-wise, is this after Hawkeye?
I think this is after Hawkeye.
I would hope so, but
I think so.
The whole Wong thing kind of threw a wrench in it. So that would be my guess. Is the antagonist so far is sight unseen. But I think my fear for this show is this show doesn't really give a shit, dude. It just wants to make us laugh.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I'm just confused. Like, are we still like scene setting here? Like, she's getting comfortable with the new law firm and defending these superheroes or supervillains or whatever that she doesn't really want to, and then we're gonna or are we like in the thick of it now? Like, this is all gonna tie back to a larger story, and we just don't get it yet.
I'm getting worried that plot is the least important thing with this show, and a lot of it is like, wouldn't it be hilarious if She-Hulk did this?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the problem, right?
Yeah, which maybe some people love that, and if you love this show, awesome. I don't want anyone to hate anything, but that is not what I was hoping to get out of this. So, I have a question, and this is one that I texted you about. I'm a little confused on the timeline involving Wong. So he references a spell that makes people forget things, which seems like this is after No Way Home. Because even though they don't know who Spider-Man is, they would probably still have a recollection of casting a spell of that sort, right?
You would think, yeah.
But clearly it's contemporary with... I guess it doesn't have to be contemporary with Shang-Chi. Like, it could be a little bit after that. But I don't feel like Multiverse of Madness has happened yet, just because of all the shit that Wong goes through in that.
So this is between No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness.
I believe so, yes.
Possibly in conjunction with Shang-Chi.
Yes. I don't know. That's my thing. So if you're at home and you have a better idea, and I should go back and rewatch Multiverse of Madness, because I actually couldn't even really remember what happened to Wong at the end of it. He survives, I believe, that fall with Wanda.
If he doesn't fall, or if he doesn't survive, then I'm even more confused.
Right, he does, I think.
Yeah.
I'm an MCU head. I should know this shit. But it's not super important. But I was just wondering that with Wong, because he definitely made
We don't know if it is or not, though. It could be important.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I say that from the standpoint of I think two things. Number one, we're not going to see Wong again in this series. And number two, I feel like... Which,
if they just shoehorn him in for this, I'm...
100% prepare for that.
Extremely disappointed.
Yeah, prepare for that. But I also don't feel like the stakes are, going to be that high for this show.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
So we discussed last week that Charlie Cox on IMDb was billed for, I believe, 7 more episodes in the show. Didn't get him. Checked IMDb. He is only billed for 6 now.
Oh, how convenient.
Oh, yes.
They cut down his number by 1 too, right?
Yeah.
Fuck IMDb, dude.
So they don't know what's going on, which is fine, but don't pretend like you do, IMDb. Come on. Get off your high horse. So now, question still stands from last week. How are we getting Daredevil in this, or when is he coming? What significance is that? Or are they just going to shoehorn him in for a quote-unquote cameo of the week, and he'll be in episode whatever for 5 seconds?
So my theory would be it's going to be the latter. It's going to be a cameo of the week, and I still think we'll get Jessica Jones in a similar fashion. And they'll probably lampoon it when it happens and make fun of it, the fact that it's happening. But I do think that Daredevil's cameo will have a little more significance, because I feel like Kingpin could be somehow involved in this. And it could be a situation where the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I actually don't even know if we'll see Matt Murdock in this show, even though it would be an easy thing to do. Jen is a literal criminal attorney. But I guess the other thing I'm confused about how Matt Murdock could tie back in, and I don't know, Ronnie's not on this pod, our legal counsel, to help explain this, but is that it for her Emil Blonsky representation? She got his parole? Is that it's over? Or they're thinking about it?
I mean, I would think that she still has to be his attorney, and again, I have no idea. But just because they say you have to submit to regular screenings or whatever, no turning, no fighting, any of that, so I would assume that she still has to represent him. If in fact one of those actions happen, then she has to defend him.
But like, where does the plot go? Like, if she's representing him, like next episode, like they're reviewing his case, right? There's really like nothing to do there.
I don't know. Taking two steps back, that was my question, and I think you answered it. But are we going to see Daredevil, or are we going to see Matt Murdock?
I would guess just Daredevil, but again, it would be so easy to put Matt Murdock in this. I just feel like he is going to meet Jen. I think it'll probably be next episode. He'll have information on why the Wrecking Crew attacked her.
I'm gonna throw some shit on the wall.
Go for it.
Piggybacking off you, the Wrecking Crew, yeah, sure, they're working for Kingpin. I like that. Kingpin may or may not be working in conjunction with Madam Hydra.
Uh-huh.
And could She-Hulk show up in Echoes?
Ooh, very possible. Yeah, that show gets more and more interesting by the day, I feel like.
And I also get more and more scared because I feel like with every day and every show that goes by, the potential for Echoes goes up. But with that being said, I feel like it's a high risk, high reward. And it can very easily just shit on its face, especially because we all have, no matter how much we try not to, we have preconceived notions of what Daredevil and Kingpin are from the Netflix shows, and we still don't know if these are the same characters or if these are different characters.
Right. First off, shitting on your face is impressive if you can pull that off. Like,
done it a couple times.
Do you arch your back like you're on your? We'll talk about that later. Yeah. The Daredevil Born Again series. Someone will have to fact check me on this, but if that comes out before Echo, I think you bring up a good point, Brian. That's the MCU's chance to show us, hey, we know that you really like the Netflix version of Daredevil. We did too. That's why we brought the cast back. But this is what we're doing with them in the MCU, so we can go into Echo with an idea of who they are more. Yeah. And who knows, like, if Daredevil shows up in this, which we know he does, we know he shows up in this, like, as an established street-level crime fighter, like, Born Again could be, like, basically his origin story. This could be, like, post the Battle in New York, or it could be, like you said, there could be some cool plot threads from this that they're setting up for that show.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that for those show. I think we're gonna look back at.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that show. I'm worried about this show.
I think, and I'm predicting this on episode 3 of the first season. I think that we're going to look back at this show when it's all said and done and say, this is the MCU TV show version of Thor: The Dark World. It was fine. It was okay. Didn't really like it. Definitely bottom of the totem pole. But you're going to be able to go back and reach out of this little bucket, this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece to make other stories better, which inherently is going to make this one more relevant, not better.
Yeah, I guess let me say this. I like the character of She-Hulk a lot. I don't like the tone of this show. Like, I don't like how funny it is, but I don't hate it still. It's just, it's not what I was wanting. Let me put it that way.
If these episodes were 45 minutes long, I would have a problem. They're like 25 to 35 minutes. I can stomach that. That's fine.
All right, I just have 2 quick questions for you.
Get them out.
First off, do you trust Blonsky? Is this all a facade?
I mean, it's got to be, right? I don't think you trust him. I think
that too, but part of me was thinking also, like, that's too cliche, you know? Like, he pretends to be, I don't know. I think I do trust him for some reason.
I do. I think I trust him too. But I have nothing to back that up with, like, why. I think it's just because I like Tim Roth.
Yeah, I love Tim Roth, and I really hope he's in the Thunderbolts. We'll know next week.
We should.
My other question. What?
Wednesday, right?
Yeah, but I don't know when their specific, like, panel is. But also, there's announcing a lot of casting announcements. We're going to get Fantastic Four as well. Yeah. This is one that ties into the bullshit that IMDb pulled. Again, if you don't know who's appearing in what episodes, that's totally fine. Until you fucking tell me that you know who's appearing in what episode. So, will we see Hulk again in this series? And this is annoying because we went from being told he was in every episode, as Nate Thurmond found last week, to now clearly IMDb is just going to cut down that episode number each time he doesn't show up after the fact.
I don't think we see him. I don't see how we can. I think that
I don't
they
think we
are.
do either. He's
that
literally off-world.
he is either they're going to do something like a World War Hulk, or could he somehow meet back up with the Guardians of the Galaxy and be in Guardians 3 with Adam Warlock?
Interesting. I never didn't even think about that until you mentioned it.
I don't know how that would look or what that looks like, but I mean, at this point, to answer your question, no, we're not going to see him back in any capacity. Maybe like a voicemail,
yeah,
or some shit, but nothing.
I mean, if the show is what it looks like it is, which is like a kind of a slapstick legal comedy, and Hulk is on his way to Sakaar, like how do you tie in those plot threads?
You don't.
Yeah, right. That's what I was afraid of. Again, I think I was totally fine with Ruffalo serving his purpose to set up Jen. We got some really, I think my favorite moment of the show so far is when he talks about how much he misses Tony.
Which again, if it's a She-Hulk show, your best moment can't not involve her.
I agree. But also, I'm pissed that this is a separate thing. This has nothing to do with Marvel, but IMDb, bro, like, just
get your
off.
shit together.
For real, it's like embarrassing what they did. And am I blowing it out?
You might as well be Wikipedia at this point. Honestly, I trust Wikipedia more.
I would too. Some guy whose cousin like brought bagels to set one day might have been able to edit the Wikipedia page and add that. So.
Probably.
All right, Brian, I'm done. You got anything else?
No. I think we answered everything. We still don't know why Wong broke Abomination out. We don't know any of that.
Well, I needed to fight somebody, man. Is that not good enough?
Yes. I don't know. I don't.
Guys, I'm sorry if it sounded like I was shitting on this episode, but if you listen to our reviews for episode 1 and 2, I was like the one person that really had this show's back.
I'm not sorry. I've shit on this entire series pretty much the whole time.
But with all these shows, I feel like the middle part is where things really start to meander. Like episodes 3 and 4. Like
they're the pivotal points. That's when you... Anytime I start a new show, obviously this is one I know I'm going to watch to the conclusion. But if I'm, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to watch this or not, I give you 3 episodes. If you don't have me hooked by that 3rd episode, I'm out.
And I think if this
wasn't an MCU show, I might be out.
Maybe, yeah. The weird thing about evaluating She-Hulk is I feel like all 3 episodes have been really different.
Honestly, one doesn't really connect. I mean, yes, they do, but none of them cohesively go together with another one. Almost as bad as Moon Knight, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, and every episode has left the taste in my mouth where I think it's going a different direction than it ends up going.
Yeah.
Well, this one ends with its actual darkest moment, which is the Wrecking Crew fight. So you're like, well, fuck, is that what we're doing now? Because the whole rest of the series, it felt like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
So I don't know. All right, for the mad scientist Brian Banner, I'm the mayor Jeff Hornacek, and we are the Bro 4 Squad podcast. Thank you guys so much for checking out our review of She-Hulk. We'll be here the rest of the way for this series, so be sure to find us on Twitter at Bro 4 Squad. YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts also has all our content. If you type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words. We're also on Amazon Music, but I don't know how that works. Still type in those 3 words, you'll find us there. And everything we've ever posted in the history of time is on our website, bro4squad.com. Till next time, we'll see you in the courtroom, because we thought it was Shaq at the Dave & Buster's.
Speaking, hey, did you ever get your money from Rachel? Like, I know you sued her.
But we're not recording anymore, right? Can I speak candidly?
Of course not. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I'm still in love with her.